Sarah O'Rourke and I'm the owner and head designer of Sarah Designs Millinery Atelier. This year for Fashion Revolution Week, I'm doing a Meet the Maker segment where I'm answering all of your questions. Saradin is a combination of my name Sarah and the word designs, and that's how I became Saradin. After school, I was determined to become a fashion designer. I did a 1-year fashion and textile designs course and found that I actually didn't love the course as much as I thought I was going to. So instead I went on and I did a 4-year degree course in visual arts practice sculpture in IADT Dún Laoghaire in Dublin. It is a bit of a contrast, the two courses together, but I do think the skills that I learned in the sculpture transferred over into my millinery designs. So a slow fashion brand is the opposite to a fast fashion brand. A fast fashion brand would be, for example, your high street stores that would mass produce items in different sizes and put them in different stores. I don't do that at all. Obviously my fabric is handmade, and once a piece of that fabric is made, you actually can't replicate it. So each design is bespoke. I'm all about celebrating the skills involved in making something and the time and the process and everything. So that's what a slow fashion brand is. We don't mass produce items and we celebrate the skills involved. I fell into millinery quite by accident. My mum was going to a wedding. I had created my own fabric medium while studying in college, so I decided to combine the fabric with the hat, and Saradin Designs was born. No, I never studied hat making. I don't use hat molds. I don't use the traditional hat fabrics. I don't use traditional millinery methods at all. As I said, I kind of fell into it by accident, and then I just started experimenting, and then I had to learn, because obviously it's my own fabric, I had to learn how to balance it, how to shape it, the different weights, different things like that. So there was a lot of self-learning involved. That's a hard one to kind of explain. I could take it from a color, I could take it from a shape, I could dream about something, and then once I start creating, the ideas kind of snowball and more designs come about. It's quite a hard one to explain. I think everybody's inspiration and creative process is different. I don't draw anything though. I always make. I kind of have an idea of what color I want and what shape I want, so I begin to make the fabric and then begin molding it into the different designs, and then it sort of just happens. I don't know, it's very hard to explain when you're creative. It's very hard to explain how it's done. Yeah, I'm 100% comfortable with working with models. I've worked with loads over the past number of years. I follow some of them on Instagram, they follow me back, and you kind of have a bit of rapport with them. But yeah, I'm 100% comfortable with them. I think that sometimes that people don't necessarily respect them as much as they should, but they're human beings at the end of the day, so I don't see why you treat them any differently to anyone else. Oh, I think my weakness and my strength are the same thing. I'm very much a perfectionist and I want everything perfect. So it's my weakness because I think, like any designer, you'll see the flaws. Straight away, everyone will see this beautiful piece and all you can see is the flaw, but no one else can see that. So that'd be a weakness of mine. But my strength as well would be being a perfectionist, because I wouldn't send something out there half done either, and I take a lot of pride in what I do. So I think that it's my weakness and my strength. My favourite piece was part of my Belfast Fashion Week collection, and it's this one. I had those feathers, I must have had those feathers for about 2 years before I actually created the piece, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I just had this idea of kind of doing the fan idea, and then I don't know, it was just like an epiphany hit me, and I decided to add the feathers, and it was so dramatic, and I just love how it looks. It's just, I have to say, it was one of my favourite pieces, and the model who wore it in Belfast Fashion Week, she really did it justice with like how she was posing and how she was turning her head and everything. So that's my favourite piece. I did wear it to a ladies' day when we actually had ladies' days and it got great press from it. It was in an awful lot of online and published things as well, so I was delighted with that. My mum taught me how to sew at a really young age. Like I used to make my Barbie's clothes, I used to make myself clothes. I'd be there sewing a skirt together before I go out on a night out and everything. I was that kind of person. So yeah, my mum taught me how to sew, and she used to help me with little projects. I actually did a wardrobe clear out there a few weeks ago and found dresses that I made, and I never hemmed them. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm looking at them cringing now, and I never hem them. But yeah, I'd always make my own clothes, and obviously now like I can still sew, and I'm now a fashion shooter as well, so it's definitely translated over the years. So I make all my fabric and my hats. It's all done in-house. I don't have anyone else doing any of the work, so you can trace all the production back to myself. How my fabric made is something that can be a bit of a sore point for some people, because I don't actually disclose the process. It is my niche, so I'm not going to tell everybody how I do something, because what's to stop somebody else coming along and doing exactly the same thing? There's often a lot of speculation, and it opens a bit of a debate as to how it's done. I've been more accused than anything of felting my designs. I've never felted in my life, so no, felting is not how the designs are made. But yeah, it is my niche, so I won't be divulging that information. So I'd be a messy organized person. I'm sticking with that, messy organized, whereas I mean everything's on the desk, but I know where it is because I'm using so many different elements, whether it's beads, wire, fabric, it's all on the desk there, so I know where it is. Yeah, I do love what I do. I wouldn't change it for the world, to be honest. I love when I get creative and I get stuck in, and when, you know, when the juices start flowing, and then you can just see you can see the evolution as well from where I started to where I am now, because I would never show off the hats where I started with. They're terrible. And actually the one that I made for my mum for the wedding, as much as I know where I was going with the aesthetics of it, never want to show people that. It's terrible. Kind of touched on this question a little bit with the college, so I did obviously want to work in fashion. I went to college to do it, but then I just didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to. And then when I was doing my sculpture degree, I kind of found the love of textiles, and then obviously I fell back into millinery, and now I'm obviously in fashion. So it did a whole 180. So I'm not sure if it was just a growth thing. Maybe I was too young. I was only 17 when I started college, so I don't know if it was that. But I mean, I think an awful lot of people do things like that they start one thing and then they fall into another thing, and then maybe they do the whole 180 to come back to the first thing. So that's what happened with me. That's cut off my designs is always reworked back into either the same design or another design, so there actually is no waste with my fabrics. COVID has had a devastating effect on everybody, whether you're a business or not. Mine's very event-based, and all the events are cancelled or postponed, so that's been hugely effective on my business. Also, all my events for like fashion shows and fashion weeks, they've been cancelled, and that's going ahead. So I haven't done anything like that in the past year, which is quite upsetting. I began to work with stylists. They're not working on, well, some aren't working on shoots anymore, so you know, until kind of COVID calms down, I won't be able to start that again. But what I did do was I began to create a line of everyday headbands, which I have one on me now, so I have a few of those up on my website. It took an awful lot of kind of experimentation and figuring out how to do it. The fabrics that I've used are recycled fabrics. I haven't bought new fabrics for that, so I'm kind of still in the slow fashion sustainability market there with them. Is a hard one when you're a creative, because you put so much time and effort into this piece that when somebody comes along and openly slates it, whether it's online or to your face, it hurts. It really does hurt. I did have somebody describe one of my pieces as looking like cheap sweet wrappers before, so that really cut me inside. I think it's a growth thing though, that you take criticism better. The more you do things, the more you grow, the more you operate your business. I do think it's a growth thing. It still hurts a little bit, I won't lie. It's still a little sting when somebody says that they don't like something, but you have to understand as well that whatever you produce isn't going to be for everybody. Not everybody's going to like what you do, so you just have to kind of learn to take it on the chin sometimes. would definitely be my biggest supporters. They're always on hand to help me whenever I need something done. They can see sometimes, like, being a designer is very stressful. They can see just the stress levels can be up to here sometimes. So they do just jump in and help me wherever they can. Proudest moment for me had to be when I won my Milliner of the Year award, because people had actually taken the time to vote for me, which really meant a lot. So yeah, I think that definitely was the proudest moment for me. I would like to showcase next in New York. I actually used to live in New York and it has a bit of a sweet place in my heart as such, but I was approached early last year to do New York Fashion Week, but sadly COVID hit, so that just put a stop to all those plans. So I would hope that, you know, when things are a little bit more normal, that I could take the opportunity up again.